Rubin from the University of Pennsylvania, one of the partner institutions at ICSR. And it is my absolute pleasure and delight to introduce Ms. Tsipi Livni, who is the leader of opposition party in Israel. Ms. Livni was born in Tel Aviv and grew up in Israel and served as a lieutenant in the Israeli Defense Forces. After she completed her service in IDF, she completed her law degree at Bar Ilan University and practiced commercial law for about 10 years. She was elected to Knesset as a member of Likud in 1999 and was appointed Minister of Regional Cooperation in 2001. She was then appointed Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, then Minister of Immigration Absorption, and Minister of Housing and Construction. In October of 2005, she was appointed Minister of Justice. 1 month later, she joined Ariel Sharon and Ehud Olmert in the new Kadima party and was appointed Foreign Minister. So no fewer than 6 ministerial positions, which must be a record even for Israel. In 2008, she became the leader of Kadima by election, so the justified absolute leader of the opposition party. In 2009, Yale University, that other Ivy League institution a little bit north of here, honored Ms. Livni with the Chubb Fellowship. Now, this is one of Yale's most distinguished awards. It was started in 1936, and the award recognizes international leaders in politics, diplomacy, and the arts, all of those leaders who are also involved in public service. Previous winners include Harry Truman, Toni Morrison, the Nobel Prize winner, Norman Mailer, the famous novelist, and Robert Redford, the famous actor. And the other 2 Israelis who have won this award are Moshe Dayan and Shimon Peres. Ms. Livni is the first Israeli woman to win the International Hall of Fame Award from the International Women's Forum, joining such luminaries as the Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the actress Audrey Hepburn, the civil rights hero Rosa Parks, the astronaut Sally Ride, and the singer Ella Fitzgerald. Now, Tsipi is, oh, and Kim Campbell, of course, right? Such luminaries in our audience. So Tsipi is Little Songbird. I can't attest that she sings like Ella Fitzgerald, but I bet you she can probably curse like Norman Mailer, knowing Israeli politics. But the one thing I do know is that she is one of the most courageous, outspoken, pragmatic, and devoted public servants that this world knows. She is a political leader of great courage and great honesty, and we are absolutely delighted, ICSR is absolutely delighted that Ms. Livni has agreed to give us the keynote address that will close this conference. So, Ms. Livni.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your warm words. I think that I should quit while I'm ahead. But yeah, thank you for coming. And we all addressing in not only these days, but we need to meet the challenge of terror, international terror, extremism, and also the challenge of peace in the Middle East. And I believe that these 2 different things are connected. Because right now in different rooms in the world, sitting different leaders, trying to give an answer to different questions. In one room, leaders are talking about the need to fight international terrorism. In other, leaders are talking about the need to end the conflict in the Middle East. In a third, leaders are talking, hopefully, about the need to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon. In other rooms, leaders are talking about Afghanistan, Iraq, and so on. But I believe that the ability of the international community and the free world to meet this challenge, all these challenges, is dependent also in the way we look at the different challenges. And at first, I believe that we should look at all these challenges from a point of view of a satellite. And we need to see not only the region, not only the Middle East, but the entire world. And since I believe that these are different sides of the same equation, I wanted to speak today about 2 different challenges, fighting against terror and fighting for peace, because I believe that there's a need for leadership that is determined to fight terror and to achieve peace. And there's a need, a courage, politically, internally, to do so. And sometimes there's a price to be paid in order to achieve or to meet these goals. It can be a political personal prize, it can be national, it can be economic one, but since these are the challenges that hopefully when we address them properly, we can live in a better world led by or with the entire international community, the free world, and this needs to be done. From a satellite point of view, we can see the Western world, the free world, on one side, and there are different conflicts between different partners that share what we call the same camp of moderates, camp of pragmatics, free world, Western world. But we need also to understand, and I'm going to refer to one of the conflicts, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but we need to understand that even though we have these internal national conflicts between different members of this camp of moderates or extremists, we need to understand that all of us need to meet the other challenge, and this is the challenge coming from, or the threat coming from extreme religious ideologies, coming from, or these ideologies that are being translated into terror from those who cannot accept the values of the free world, from those who cannot accept or trying to deprive us from our rights. And it is very important to understand that when the conflict is religious, it is almost unsolvable. And when we are talking about this kind of extreme religious ideology or agenda of hatred, these people are not fighting in order to get the rights to express their own beliefs, but they are trying to deprive us from our rights. And this is something that basically can lead to other understanding, and the need, or this can be translated into action plan by the international community. It is also clear that when we are talking about this religious ideology or terror, international or other, it can be or can be represented by a state like Iran that abuses other conflicts in the region, but it is very important to understand that the reason for Iran's ideology doesn't come from the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but they abuse the conflict and exploit this conflict in order to get the support of radical elements in the region, in order to undermine other regimes in the region, in order to embarrass those that are having ties with Israel, because this is the only way for them to explain sometimes their own ideology to different members and elements, and especially young people in our region, especially in Arab and Muslim states. We also can see, especially in the last years, places in which we have the same ideology that is not being represented by a state, but by organizations. And most of the times, there is no, this organization doesn't represent the national interest of the states from which they are acting. We can see Hezbollah in Lebanon, and we can see Hamas in the Palestinian Authority. We are talking about different proxies of Iran in Lebanon and in the Palestinian Authority. Hezbollah doesn't fight for any national element of Lebanon. It is clear that there is no conflict between Israel and Lebanon, but yet Hezbollah tries and provoked a few years ago in order to ignite the region when they feel that this is the right time to do so without real national conflict between Israel and Lebanon. And we can see Hamas that doesn't represent the national legitimate aspiration of the Palestinians for a state, but represent not exactly the same, but basically the same agenda that trying to deprive us from our rights, that is not willing to accept the right of Israel to exist, not willing to renounce violence and terrorism, and not willing to accept former peace treaties, peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians.